Think billionaires can't go broke? Think again. Before you call this fake, remember every story you're about to hear actually happened. Names and losses included. These are real billionaires who burned through fortunes so fast even accountants needed popcorn. So sit tight because we're diving into 49 dumbest billionaires who went broke overnight. And yes, this is 100% real, just unbelievably stupid. 1. Ike Batista. Once Brazil's richest man, worth over 30 billion, he bragged he would become the richest person in the world, but forgot to check if his company was actually making money. His oil empire collapsed like a house built on vapor, and when investors realized the wells were mostly empty, the entire fortune evaporated. Within a year, he went from private jets to police raids and courtroom cameras. The man who threw money parties ended up counting coins. From king of oil to a cautionary tale, Batista became proof that arrogance is the fastest road from billions to broke. 2. Elizabeth Holmes. She convinced the world she could test hundreds of diseases from one drop of blood, and Silicon Valley threw money at her dream. Investors called her the female Steve Jobs, but when real scientists checked the machines, they worked about as well as a broken coffee maker. Overnight, her billion-dollar company crumbled, and she went from media darling to fraud trial celebrity. Once photographed with presidents, now she posed for mugshots. The fall of Theranos was not science fiction, it was just bad science mixed with worse decisions, and the internet never forgot. 3. Jesse Livermore. The legendary Wall Street gambler of the early 1900s who made and lost fortunes before the age of smartphones even existed. He once shorted the stock market in 1929 and became one of the richest men alive, but greed told him to play again, and this time, the market played him. The man who wrote the book on winning the market couldn't follow his own rules. His fortune vanished, his fame faded, and his empire collapsed in silence. The roaring 20s gave him billions, but his own overconfidence took every cent back. 4. Sam Bankman-Fried. The crypto genius who looked like he just woke up from a nap but somehow ran a $30 billion empire. His exchange FTX was worshipped like the next big thing until users found their money missing and the castle built on digital sand disappeared overnight. He went from giving speeches about saving the world to explaining himself in front of federal judges. One day a billionaire, next day a meme. The internet crowned him the dumbest digital billionaire, and the crypto crash wrote his name in history as the man who turned billions into a warning. 5. Sean Quinn, the Irish billionaire who believed luck was a business strategy. He owned an empire of cement companies and hotels, but decided gambling his entire wealth on risky bank shares was smart. When the global crash hit, those shares sank like stones. From richest man in Ireland to debt dodger in a heartbeat, he became a walking lesson in what happens when confidence meets catastrophe. He built castles but ended up trapped in financial ruins. Ireland once called him a national success story. Now he is remembered as the billionaire who bet his fortune and lost everything. 6. Alan Stanford. The man who wanted to outshine Wall Street by building his own empire in the Caribbean. Alan Stanford looked like success itself with private jets, trophies and beaches covered in his name. Turns out his fortune was built on lies. His so-called investment bank was a $7 billion Ponzi scheme disguised as paradise. The moment the truth came out, the yachts stopped sailing, and the guards started knocking. From billion-dollar blazers to prison uniforms, Stanford became proof that even the smoothest talker can't sell a fantasy forever when reality shows up with handcuffs. 7. Hunda Björgulfur Gudmundsson. Once Iceland's golden king, he owned banks, football clubs, and respect across Europe. He promised Iceland a future of wealth beyond imagination. Then 2008 hit, and his empire melted faster than the glaciers. His bank collapsed, his assets froze, and his name turned from national pride to national punchline. The man who bought luxury jets now couldn't afford the landing fees. When the world economy froze, so did his fortune. From billionaire to broke, Björgulfur learned that even the richest Viking can't fight a global storm with a credit card. 8. Vijay Mallya. India's flashy king of good times who believed luxury never ends. He owned airlines, race cars, and palaces that could host 1,000 parties at once. But when his airline started losing money, he borrowed like the world was infinite. Soon the debts drowned him. His jets stopped flying, and the parties stopped too. He fled the country, leaving banks and employees empty-handed. Once a man who lived in champagne fountains, now trapped in legal battles, Mallya's story proved that when ego flies too high, gravity always collects interest. 9. Archegos Capital, Bill Hwang. A billionaire investor who turned Wall Street into his personal casino. Bill Huang secretly borrowed billions to make risky bets that looked genius until they weren't. When the market flipped, his fortune collapsed in hours, wiping out banks and investors like dominoes. In one weekend, $20 billion vanished. He didn't own factories or products, just confidence, and that confidence exploded. The fall of Archegos became the fastest billionaire implosion of modern finance, and a masterclass in how invisible money burns the loudest. 10. Leona Helmsley. Known as the Queen of Mean, she ruled New York's luxury hotels like royalty. She flaunted wealth, underpaid staff, and treated everyone like peasants until the IRS came knocking. When asked about taxes, she allegedly said, "Taxes are for little people." The little people clapped back. She ended up in court stripped of her empire, and her palace became her prison. Her fall became legendary. The woman who believed she was untouchable learned that even billionaires can't bully the law forever. 11. Adolf Merkel. A German billionaire who turned precision into obsession. He built an empire on cement and pharmaceuticals, but decided betting against Volkswagen stock was genius. When the market flipped, he lost billions overnight. Shocked by his own mistake, he realized his empire couldn't survive the crash. The man who studied numbers to perfection forgot the one rule of gambling: never bet everything. His fortune vanished faster than his confidence. Once one of Europe's richest, now remembered as the man who lost to a car company's short squeeze. 12. Aubrey McClendon. The American energy tycoon who turned fracking into fame and fortune. He borrowed billions to expand his gas empire faster than nature could produce it. When oil prices dropped, his company crumbled like an empty tank. Facing massive lawsuits and financial ruin, his name fell from Forbes to failure overnight. The man who once called himself America's energy future ended up bankrupt and out of the race. His downfall proved that even billionaires who drill too deep sometimes hit nothing but disaster. 13. Masayoshi Son. The Japanese tech visionary who built SoftBank and dreamed of creating the next generation of world-changing companies. He poured billions into startups like WeWork, thinking he found the next big revolution. But when those dreams burned billions, he watched his empire's value vanish. The man who once bragged about having the Midas touch learned that not everything he touched turned to gold. From record profits to record losses, Masayoshi became a symbol of what happens when optimism ignores math. 14. Bernie Madoff. He was the face of wealth on Wall Street, a man investors trusted for decades. Behind the smiles and returns was the biggest Ponzi scheme in history. He paid old investors with new investors' money and lived like a king of illusions. When the truth came out, his empire collapsed in days, taking billions with it. The man who promised security delivered chaos. Bernie Madoff went from master of markets to inmate number one, proving crime pays until it doesn't. 15. Howard Hughes. The Hollywood billionaire who built planes, produced films, and chased fame until he lost himself to paranoia. He locked himself in hotel rooms for years, surrounded by germs and tissues while his fortune slowly leaked away. He once flew faster than sound, but ended grounded by fear. Even with billions in the bank, his mind couldn't handle the weight. Howard Hughes didn't lose money in the market. He lost it to madness and became proof that being rich doesn't mean being sane. 16. Elizabeth Holmes's partner, Ramesh Balwani. Known as Sunny Balwani, he was the man behind Theranos, who believed confidence could replace science. He helped fake results and impress investors until reality arrived with handcuffs. His arrogance was as expensive as his suits, and when the company collapsed, so did his billions. Once playing boss of a medical miracle, now spending years explaining fraud in court. He proved that blind loyalty to a bad idea can cost you everything, even your fortune and your freedom. 17. Thomas J. Watson Jr. The man who inherited IBM and thought he could modernize the world before the world was ready. He poured billions into massive mainframes and risky tech projects that nobody wanted yet. The company nearly fell apart before smarter leaders saved it. His ambition nearly bankrupted a tech titan. Though IBM survived, his decisions left scars. Watson's story became a quiet reminder that innovation without timing can destroy even the most powerful dynasties. 18. Jordan Belfort. The Wolf of Wall Street who turned selling into scamming. He made millions from penny stocks and spent them on yachts, parties, and chaos. When the FBI showed up, the wolf turned into a house pet. His billions vanished through fines and fraud repayments, leaving him broke and infamous. Belfort's story became a Hollywood blockbuster, but behind the fame was financial disaster. The man who sold dreams ended up selling his own past to survive. Nitiniende Bjørn, the airline CEO who tried to turn Norway's small airline into a global empire. He ordered dozens of jets and promised to beat the biggest airlines at their own game. Then debt came crashing down like turbulence. Fuel prices spiked and passengers stopped booking. Within months, his fortune disappeared along with his airline's reputation. From pilot to billionaire to broke the skies weren't friendly forever. Kios learned expansion without brakes. Always ends with a crash landing. 20. FTX co-founder Gary Wang, the silent partner who built the code that helped create billions. While Sam Bankman-Fried took the spotlight, Gary quietly watched fortunes rise then vanish overnight. When the truth of FTX came out, he faced the same storm. The man behind the algorithms became a cautionary figure in the biggest crypto collapse of the decade. He went from genius coder to courtroom witness, and his digital billions dissolved like data deleted from the blockchain. 21. Allen Iverson. He wasn't a business billionaire but lived like one. The NBA legend made over $200 million from contracts and endorsements, then lost it all to bad investments and endless parties. He bought jewelry by the suitcase and gave away cash like confetti. When the money stopped, the bills didn't. From luxury mansions to pawn shops, his downfall was as dramatic as his crossovers. Iverson later admitted he trusted too many people who loved his money more than him. The man once known for breaking ankles ended up broke himself, proving fame. Without financial sense is a fast route to zero. 22. Robert Maxwell. Before his daughter Ghislaine made headlines, he was Britain's flashy media tycoon. Maxwell owned newspapers, yachts, and influence until the truth surfaced. He secretly stole hundreds of millions from his company's pension funds to cover debts. When investigators closed in, he mysteriously fell off his yacht and vanished into scandal forever. His empire crumbled instantly, leaving chaos and unpaid workers behind. Maxwell's name became a warning in every business school, a billionaire who thought he could outsmart math and gravity at the same time. 23. Elizabeth Ethel Greer, Liza Minnelli, the Hollywood queen who inherited fame, fortune, and chaos. She spent millions on luxury, drugs, and failed relationships. Her mansion parties were legendary, but her financial planning was non-existent. As the checks stopped, her lifestyle didn't, and she ended up drowning in unpaid taxes and loans. The star who sang about life being a cabaret learned that the cabaret eventually sends a bill. Liza's rise and crash became proof that showbiz money disappears faster than applause. 24. Wang Jianlin. Once China's richest man, he owned the Wanda Empire with hotels, cinemas, and theme parks across the world. He said his goal was to crush Disney. Disney is still open. His empire collapsed under debt as China's economy tightened. Billion-dollar dreams turned to budget cuts overnight. The man who built fantasy worlds ended up selling real ones to survive. He taught a global lesson that even the biggest dream needs a calculator. 25. John DeLorean, the car genius who wanted to change the future. His DeLorean sports car looked like something from science fiction, but the numbers were pure horror. Sales tanked, debts rose, and he turned to illegal deals to save his dream. The FBI caught him trying to fund his company with drug money. From automotive visionary to handcuffed icon, DeLorean's story proved that even innovation can't drive you out of bad choices. His time machine car became legendary while its creator went bankrupt. 26th. Iskander Makhmudov, a Russian industrial magnate who made billions from metals and mining but lost it all trying to play politics. His companies got hit by sanctions, market crashes, and power struggles. What started as an empire of steel turned into a castle of sand. One day he was funding football clubs and racing teams, the next day auctioning his own assets to survive. The man who once called himself untouchable learned that in business there are no untouchables, only survivors. 27. Donald Watkins, a self-made lawyer turned billionaire who owned energy companies, sports teams, and real estate. He promised investors unstoppable profits, but when the numbers didn't add up, the truth did. Convicted of defrauding millions, he went from luxury jets to a prison cell. His empire of confidence collapsed overnight. Watkins' story is a modern parable that charm and intelligence can't fix cooked books. The man who once dreamed of buying the Yankees ended up losing everything, including his reputation. 28. Kim.com, the wild German-Finnish internet mogul who made millions from file sharing. His mansion in New Zealand was a gamer's paradise filled with cars, tech, and private concerts. Then came the FBI raid. His empire megaploid was shut down, assets frozen, and the millionaire became an internet outlaw, once hosting parties for celebrities now battling court cases and extradition. Kim's story proved that when you build wealth from gray zones, the law eventually clears the fog. 29. Raj Rajaratnam. Once the smartest man on Wall Street running Galleon Group hedge fund, Raj made billions through insider trading. He thought he'd never get caught until wiretaps recorded his every deal. The news hit like a bomb. His company collapsed, investors fled, and he faced a massive prison sentence. From stock market wizard to inmate, Raj showed that even billionaires can't mute the sound of evidence. His empire built on secrets ended when the secrets started talking. Tredje Marcus Persson. The Swedish game developer who created Minecraft and sold it to Microsoft for billions. But happiness didn't come with the money. He bought mansions, cars, and parties so big neighbors complained. Yet in interviews, he admitted feeling more isolated than ever. Surrounded by everything except purpose, his fortune faded in endless spending. Marcus proved that not all bankruptcies are financial. Some are emotional. He went from coding joy for millions to losing his own. 31. F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda. They lived like the roaring 20s would last forever. Parties, champagne, and gold, everything. Fitzgerald wrote The Great Gatsby, but spent like he was one of his own characters. The couple's lifestyle burned through their royalties faster than they could publish. When the fame faded, the bills stayed. They sold jewelry, borrowed from friends, and ended their lives far from the glamour they created. Their story became a living example that even literary royalty can go broke when art meets excess. 32. Larry Ellison's lost years. The Oracle founder, known for his yachts and jets, wasn't immune to bad decisions. At his peak, he spent over $1 billion a year just maintaining his collection of islands, cars, and boats. When the dot-com bubble burst, his fortune shrank dramatically. He sold assets to stay afloat and learned that owning 10 of everything doesn't double happiness. Ellison bounced back later, but his near bankruptcy showed that even tech gods can't outcode market crashes. 33. FTX celebrity investors. They weren't broke to start, but they joined the crypto circus expecting gold. From athletes to influencers, they poured millions into FTX thinking it was the future. When it exploded, so did their savings and reputations. Celebrities scrambled to delete old posts, and lawyers chased refunds. The crash proved that hype isn't an investment plan. The lesson came late but loud. When billionaires promise easy crypto profits, the only real coin left is regret. 34th, King Ludwig II of Bavaria. Known as the fairy tale king, he built castles so beautiful they drained a kingdom. His obsession with perfection bankrupted the state before his projects even finished. Ministers begged him to stop spending, but he kept building until the treasury was empty. His magnificent castles became tourist spots only after he died. Ludwig's madness made history, and his fall proved that even kings can spend themselves out of power. 35. Elizabeth Taylor. The Hollywood icon who made millions but lived like she had infinite credit. Diamonds, villas, and champagne became her essentials. She married 8 times, and each divorce came with a financial storm. Even after legendary success, she struggled to manage her fortune. Taylor's beauty was timeless, but her budgeting wasn't. She turned her fame into debts before clawing her way back later with perfumes and business deals. Her rise and fall showed that stardom fades faster than spending habits. 36. Elon Musk's Twitter storm. He's still one of the richest men alive, but his chaotic Twitter takeover nearly became his dumbest move. Billions vanished from Tesla's value as he tweeted memes while advertisers fled. The company bled money faster than it could ban bots. Even for a man worth hundreds of billions, burning tens of them in public was a new level of rich stupidity. Musk may recover, but the internet never forgets a billionaire meltdown live-streamed in real time. 37. Martha Stewart. America's queen of homemaking turned prison inmate after an insider trading scandal. She lost millions, business deals, and her empire's shine in one swift move. When she walked out, the world had changed, and so had her finances. Martha reinvented herself later, but her bankruptcy scare proved that even the calmest billionaires can mix a recipe for disaster. The woman who taught America how to decorate a table ended up cleaning one in prison. 38. Terra Luna founder Do Kwon. the crypto king who promised to make stablecoins stable and ended up destroying billions in days. Investors called it the future of finance until the entire system collapsed overnight. From Forbes covers to international arrest warrants, Do Kwon went from genius to fugitive. His empire was digital, but his losses were very real. His fall became the modern symbol of crypto arrogance crashing into economic gravity. 39. Conrad Hilton Jr., the heir to the Hilton Empire who partied harder than any rock star alive. He inherited millions, but drank, gambled, and scandalized his name into ruins. His lifestyle was pure chaos, filled with limousines, fights, and paparazzi. Eventually, his money evaporated, and so did his fame. His story became the early Hollywood warning that family money without control always ends the same. Rich one year, forgotten the next. 40th John Coombe, the WhatsApp co-founder who sold his app to Facebook for billions but couldn't handle the corporate world that came with it. He walked away from his dream deal after clashing with management, leaving hundreds of millions on the table. His fortune stayed huge, but the empire he built moved on without him. Jan's story showed that walking away rich doesn't always mean staying powerful. Some billionaires lose everything except their pride. Einen Würzig, Heinrich Tyson, the steel heir of Germany who inherited a fortune built from war machines. Heinrich lived in castles filled with gold frames and secret vaults. But his obsession with power made him reckless. He threw money into failed art projects and gambling debts that melted the family wealth. By the time his heirs took over, the fortune had splintered into pieces. The Tyson name went from unstoppable industry to divided inheritance. His story proved that old money burns just as fast as new when ego writes the checks. 42. Elizabeth Holmes's investors. They were billionaires who thought they were funding a miracle. From media moguls to politicians, they poured millions into Theranos without asking basic questions. When the truth broke, their money vanished faster than the hype. It became one of Silicon Valley's most expensive lessons. Even the smartest rich people can be fooled by confidence. These investors didn't just lose cash, they lost credibility. Their fall showed that blind faith and charisma is the easiest way to go broke in a world full of charmers. 43. Archegos bank partners. When Bill Hwang's hedge fund exploded, it didn't just destroy his fortune but dragged down entire banks. Credit Suisse, Nomura, and others lost billions overnight trying to clean up his financial fireworks. CEOs resigned, investors panicked, and the domino effect wiped out years of profit in a weekend. Archegos became the modern financial plague that infected every bank touching it. The smartest institutions in the world outsmarted themselves chasing one man's invisible billions. 44. Pablo Escobar's hidden billions. He was worth more than some countries, but most of it was buried in dirt. When Escobar died, his secret billions were left rotting in fields, eaten by rats or seized by authorities. His empire of cash dissolved into stories and myths. Even his family never found half of it. Pablo's rise was fast, but his fortune's disappearance was faster. The world's richest criminal became the richest ghost, proving that money without peace always disappears. 45. The Enron executives. They sold the world on fake profits and fake energy, calling themselves the smartest guys in the room. For years, the company's stock soared while they hid billions in secret books. When the truth came out, Enron imploded overnight. Employees lost everything, and its leaders went from penthouses to prison. Enron's fall remains a symbol of corporate stupidity powered by greed. The bigger the lie, the faster the bankruptcy. 46. Sam Bankman-Fried's inner circle. They lived like crypto royalty, flying private jets and partying in penthouses while managing fake numbers. When FTX crashed, their empire of luxury disappeared. Overnight, multimillionaires turned to courtroom witnesses and plea deals. The Bahamas paradise turned into evidence storage. The same friends who laughed at critics ended up blaming each other. Their story became a modern Greek tragedy written in Bitcoin. 47. Donald Trump's 90s collapse. Long before the presidency, Trump's empire nearly disappeared under mountains of debt. His casinos, airlines, and hotels bled money faster than he could borrow it. Banks seized control, and the self-proclaimed business genius almost lost his name. He survived by branding himself as success even when he was broke. His 90s collapse remains one of the strangest stories of public failure turned into marketing fuel. 48. Nicolas Cage. The Oscar-winning actor earned over $150 million and spent every dollar like it was cursed to expire. He bought haunted mansions, dinosaur skulls, and castles across Europe. When the IRS showed up, the castles had to go. From Hollywood royalty to financial wreckage, Cage became a meme before memes existed. He clawed his way back with endless movie roles just to pay off debt. His story is the definition of spend first, think never. 49th. King Croesus of Lydia. The ancient billionaire before billionaires even existed. Croesus ruled with endless gold and believed his fortune made him untouchable. When he attacked Persia thinking he was destined to win, his empire collapsed in flames. His city burned, his gold stolen, and his name became a synonym for wealth turned ruin. Even thousands of years later, his story reminds us that no amount of treasure saves you from your own overconfidence. So that's it. 49 billionaires who went from world domination to wallet destruction. Some lost it to greed, some to ego, and some just because they thought money made them smarter than gravity. Every empire here had gold walls but paper floors, and when the cracks showed, they all fell the same way, fast, loud, and unforgettable. But here's the real question. If tomorrow you woke up with $1 billion, how long before you'd lose it? A week? A month? Or faster than these geniuses did? Tell us in the comments below. And if you survived this financial chaos and still believe common sense beats cash, hit that subscribe button and join BrainFumble, where stupidity always has a price.